Modern wedge prices have gotten completely out of control. Most average golfers assume you have to shell out top dollar every couple of seasons just to get clean greenside spin or solid touch out of the bunker. But here's the reality. Spending big money on a wear and tear club is just constantly draining your wallet. It's not always the smartest move for your game, and it absolutely hurts your bank account. Today, we're looking at a major budget option to see if it actually delivers where it counts or if it's just cheap metal.
And later in this explainer, I'm going to show you the one thing most buyers never check. It's a costly mistake that drains cash from weekend players every single time. So stick around, because it's going to completely change how you shop.
So let's talk about the real problem facing everyday American golfers right now: wedge inflation. Out of every single club in your bag, wedges have the absolute shortest lifespan. Think about it. Every time you blast out of a sandy bunker, hit off tight fairway turf, or take a practice swing through gritty rough, you are literally grinding down the face of your golf club. Grooves die, friction fades, yet the major brands want you to think paying top dollar every season is the only way to hold a green. If you play 15 or 20 rounds a year, buying 3 brand new premium wedges is a massive cash drain.
Here is the brutal truth. Stop paying for delicate tour grinds you don't actually have time to practice with. Seriously, it's a guaranteed recipe for buyer regret. You just end up with a club that is completely unforgiving on mishits, and even worse, it becomes way too expensive to replace when those grooves naturally wear out. For a wedge to actually be worth your hard-earned money, we only care about practical, repeatable value for regular weekend golfers. We're looking at 3 things. Number 1, durable grooves. You need a face that grabs the golf ball out of average fairway lies without losing its bite after just half a season. Number 2, sole forgiveness. You need a sensible, forgiving bounce that stops the leading edge from digging a trench when you catch it a little fat. And finally, the price-to-performance ratio. If you can hit these marks well under budget, you've got extra money left over for green fees or range balls. Let's break down the design of the Wilson Infinite Wedge. Wilson has a long reputation for delivering solid equipment that punches way above its weight class. When you set this wedge down behind the golf ball, it doesn't look like some cheap, chunky discount club from a big box department store. It gives you a really clean, confident profile at address. It gives mid-handicappers some actual visual security when facing a tight pitch over a bunker, but without looking bulky. It genuinely inspires confidence.
Now, before you buy, you need to hear this next part. A lot of golfers just assume budget golf clubs feel like hitting rocks. That's a myth we need to debunk right now. When you strike the ball center face with this Wilson wedge, the feel is surprisingly responsive and solid. The feedback you get in the hands lets you know exactly where you struck it. You don't get that harsh, cheap vibration you typically feel with low-tier box sets.
For most average golfers, the biggest question is consistency. Well, on clean strikes from the fairway, the ball launches on a very predictable trajectory. If you test it yourself on a real short game area, pay attention to how quickly the ball checks up on normal greens. It generates plenty of workable friction to control your distance on standard pitch and run shots. You really don't need fancy marketing spin numbers to see it stops exactly when you need it to.
Now let's look at turf interaction and sole design. Please, do not buy based on price alone without considering this. The sole design here is built with everyday usability in mind. It has enough functional bounce to act as a skid plate through the turf. If you get a little steep on your swing, this sole helps the head just glide. It literally stops you from digging a trench and duffing it 3 feet. And out of fluffy greenside bunkers, that extra forgiveness makes splashing the ball out onto the putting surface significantly easier. This is exactly where most golfers waste money. Let's keep it completely honest and compare this to a top-tier $180 wedge. Where does it actually differ? Mainly on extreme finesse shots. If you're opening the face wide open off a tight, bare downhill lie, yeah, a specialized wedge with a custom heel grind gives you more versatility. But ask yourself, how often are you realistically trying to hit a wide open flop shot off hard-packed mud? For 95% of standard approach shots, chips, and bunker escapes, the practical performance of the Wilson is rock solid.
And that brings us to the massive money trap I mentioned at the start of this explainer. When shopping on a strict budget, golfers usually face a choice: buy a brand new budget wedge or hunt for a heavily used premium wedge. Listen, wedges are the one club in the bag where buying heavily used is a trap. A 4-year-old tour wedge might have a prestigious logo, sure, but if the faces hit 10,000 sandy range balls, you get 0 spin. You're buying a ghost. Buying a brand new value wedge with razor-sharp, fresh grooves almost always outperforms a beaten-up used wedge with a fancy name.
If buying used, this next point matters a lot. If you do decide to ignore that advice and buy used gear anyway, you have to be extremely careful. You must inspect the face milling under bright lighting. If it looks smoothed out or rounded off, walk away immediately. Otherwise, you're just buying a very expensive butter knife.
Let's lay out a brutally honest breakdown of the pros and cons for the Wilson Infinite. On the pro side, the price to value is just outstanding. You get fresh, sharp grooves right out of the wrapper and forgiving turf interaction that really protects everyday golfers. But the cons? Real weaknesses exist here. You have extremely limited custom grinds. You aren't going to find niche sole options for highly technical players. You're also stuck with basic stock steel shafts. They're fine for average speeds, but not for players needing heavy tour shafts. Also, budget clubs just don't hold their resale value like the big names do. So who should actually put this club in their bag? Buy this if you are a beginner or a mid-handicap golfer. If your budget is tight and you want fresh, crisp grooves without paying premium prices, this is absolutely your play. It's for players who want dependable scoring and would rather spend their leftover cash on actually playing the game.
Now, who should avoid it? Because this is where a good deal turns bad. Buying a club that doesn't match your skill. Skip this if you're a low handicap shot maker. If you need a specific low bounce heel grind to open the face on tight lies, you are going to be disappointed. Also avoid this if you have an ultra-fast swing speed and need a custom-fitted, extra-stiff, heavy wedge shaft to control your trajectory and spin rates on full swings. It's just not the right fit.
The cheaper option is not always worse. Here is the catch. You have to know your exact needs. If the Wilson Infinite doesn't quite fit your budget or your swing type, there are other routes that still keep cash in your pocket. Let me guide you through 2 alternative options that might make more sense for your specific game.
Alternative number 1 is for the extreme budget. Check out the classic Wilson Harmonized line. It is one of the cheapest new options on the market. Now, it does have a slightly chunkier, older school profile. But hey, if you simply need a basic, inexpensive sandwich to get out of trouble, it gets the job done at absolute rock-bottom prices.
Alternative number 2. If you want maximum forgiveness, keep an eye out for a clean, used, previous generation Cleveland CBX. Used prices always change depending on condition and the seller, but if you can find one with sharp grooves, it's an incredible cheat code for forgiveness. It offers massive cavity-back perimeter weighting. This is easily the best alternative for golfers who specifically struggle with toe or heel strikes and just need the club to do the work for them.
Let's bring it all home with a definitive final verdict. Do not overpay for short game spin if you're a weekend player shooting in the 80s, 90s, or 100s. The smartest financial move is to prioritize fresh grooves, solid sole forgiveness, and money-saving durability. At the right price, the Wilson Infinite is a fantastic buy. It proves you don't need to drop $600 on a 3-wedge set. Only buy top-tier premium wedges if you have the practice hours to actually use custom grinds. Otherwise, buy for the fresh grooves and skip the fancy names.
Now I want to hear from you. Drop down into the comments and let me know, what is your exact golf equipment budget for this season? What handicap are you currently playing off, and what wedges are sitting in your bag right now? If this explainer helps save you some cash, hit subscribe for more direct, honest gear breakdowns. Thanks for hanging out, hit 'em straight, and save